Music provides comfort. Music can give us a lot as the world heats up. And music is also something to celebrate, and it can help us. It can help us be vibrant humans during this time. And I'm going to start with, I think we're going to start with landscape composition. So this assignment, I asked students to go outside and engage with the natural world or a more than human species. So, so they can write a piece based on place. They can engage with a plant or an animal. And I'm going to give you two examples. One is by Pamela Z, and the other, who's a contemporary electronic composer and performance artist, and also by Olivier Messiaen. And then we'll chat for a minute about their techniques. Let's start with Messiaen. So lights out, please.
Sont des batteries sur deux sons très célèbres. Tico, 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 tico. Ensuite, dans le grave, un timbre mêlé clavecin et gong qui fait tchou, 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 tchou. Voici le râle de genêt. C'est étrange, ce rythme iambique, brève, longue, que l'on entend dans les hautes herbes de la prairie. C'est lui, il fait... Et puis, des notes répétées qui se terminent par un torculus victorieux. Tio, 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 la barix. Et enfin, des sons lents, lunaires, lointains. On croirait que ça vient d'une autre planète et que l'oiseau est parti bien, bien loin ailleurs. Et puis tout d'un coup, il est là et il y a une phrase formidable et très rapide pour finir et très forte.
Okay, so what is he doing? What did he do? How did he get these sounds from the bird to the piano? Like, what did he do first? He listened, yeah. Well, he went outside and listened. And then what did he do before he transcribed it to the piano? Well, he vocalized it. So he tried to bring that sound into his body. And then he took the rhythms, and not only the rhythms, but the in the last one, he's talking about what the bird is doing, right? And then how that becomes music. And in the European Western classical tradition, there's lots of music that does this. We're going to move on to the next example, which is Pamela Z and Lights Out. What did you hear? Well, yeah. What did you hear at first? Oh, what was the first sound that you heard? I mean, it was bird. It was a bird sound. The first sound was a bird sound. So what did she do to that bird sound? I mean, you don't have to get into the electronics exactly, but basically what happened in terms of, she heard it, but what did she do to be able to sing it? She listened and, she lowered it, exactly. So she's taking the sound of the bird, she lowered the pitch until she could sing exactly what the bird was singing. And then what does she do? She raised it back up, exactly. And so that says a lot, I think, about the way that we can listen and our understanding of language, interspecies communication. And the idea about asking students to go outside and make pieces based on a more than human being or a place, first of all, it gets them outside. And second of all, I'm asking them to do environmental listening. So in music school, we have to do all kinds of ear training. And we have a certain approach towards how we teach listening. But our culture is teaching us in many ways to tune out. And so this pedagogy is based on tuning into the environment. And I'm going to move into the and in this process, it's not only the composer, the songwriter that's affected by paying attention and going outside, but this is passed on to the performer, and then it's passed on to the audience. The second assignment that we like to do is called sonic journalism. So in journalism, we're reporting on something that's going on. And as you can imagine, sonic journalism is reporting through sound. This one does, I don't need the lights off for this one. Hildegard Westerkamp, who is one of the pioneers of this work of creating sound documents. She's Canadian also. She created this piece called Under the Flight Path, and I'm not going to tell you about it. We're just going to listen to a tiny bit of it.
Have you been living here for a long time?
Just 20 years. In there, that is here.
And how do you like it under the flight path?
Well, it doesn't bother us too much.
It doesn't.
No, because we have become partially immune to it. But anybody that moves in, oh, and it must send them. Mind you, it is getting worse all the time. It's getting worse. More and more planes. They even leave late at night, which is, on hot weather, it's very disturbing because we have the windows in the master bedroom open, and it's,
So you wake up.
well, you have no other choice.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's very annoying at times. Like, for instance, if we are talking now,
Right.
and if one comes over, you have to stop talking.
That's right.
You can't do it.
Okay, that's enough. I'm not going to do it all. But so what's happening in this sound document is Hildegard was interviewing a resident under an area where they wanted to extend the airport. And so it's a very simple form of sonic journalism. She's doing this interview. You cannot hear what he is saying and you understand what's going on. And so the assignment based on the sonic journalism assignment is students go out into their environment and they report on what they hear. And I don't know why I'm getting feedback. Maybe you can turn me down. Oh, thank you. Okay. So Boston is a very urban environment, and many of the pieces are based on noise pollution, construction, interruption. But what this does in asking them to go out and report on their world by recording sound documents gets them to listen, to think about environmental listening. And then with the sound documents, there's all kinds of things. This one is very pure sense where it's just the field recording. But students may also include narration, or they may include music as a way to guide the listener through the process of documenting sound. So musicians are already listening, and that's how I moved into this kind of pedagogy. Is how can we bring issues of climate change into the classroom? These students, especially at Berklee College of Music, New England Conservatory, they want to be professionals, and they're not required to take much else besides music. And so what I'm trying to do is get them to interact with the world and pay attention to the world through listening. The final area actually I want to share with you, keep looking at these 5 minutes less, is deep listening. Deep listening is a meditative practices by composer Pauline Oliveras, and which she created for musicians, but they're very applicable to most people interested in sound. And in deep listening, well, I'm sorry. In deep listening is a way to pay attention to paying attention. And so let's just do a little example here. Pass around this paper and don't let it make any sound. We're going to stop it for a moment just because it could be the last 5 minutes and that's the end of this presentation. But bring the paper back up. What did you hear again? So I'm asking again, what did you hear? Rustling, background sounds, yeah. Creaking, yeah. Anything else? You can pass the paper. I need it. It's my presentation. Okay, and so there's many exercises in how to help us pay attention to paying attention, which is what listening is. And listening is a practice. A lot of what people have been talking about today is how hope is a practice. Listening is a practice that we need to get better at as we learn to tune out. We tune out a lot. There's a lot that we don't want to pay attention to, and I'm finding, especially with the kids in college, the young adults in college, are really deciding what they're listening to, and then that means they're not listening to the world. So one other quick exercise. This is called imagined sound. So I want you to imagine what this is going to sound like when I crinkle this paper up into a ball. Just imagine it. Okay, now make that sound with your mouth. That's really good. Now listen. How is that similar or different than your imagination? Okay, pitch, slow, tempo, yeah. Intermittent, good. Now, one final exercise. I want you to imagine what it's going to sound like when I throw this ball of paper against the wall. Okay, just have that in your head. So what did you hear and how was it similar? Different? Yeah, yeah. The landing. More solid. Oh, okay. Okay, good. So already have gone over a little, or do I have the question answer time now, or? Yeah, okay, good. So I skipped a lot. We also do a lot with writing songs, music, and activism, and we do a lot about outer and inner listening to environmental listening to the inner voice. We do sound walking around the community where we don't talk and we just walk and listen. And I found that this has been very effective for students in their ability to pay attention. Some of the activities specifically with hope, I'll have them write their fears and concerns on a 3x5 card and pass them around. And so what are you worried about with climate change? And then with two instruments, they'll have an instrumental conversation, a call and response. And so this is when we're talking about different ways of knowing when you're playing an instrument and you're not talking about anything. You're not even writing a song. You're not trying to imitate a bird. We can engage with our instruments with the concept, and that's been really helpful to them. We also have them improvise while someone is reading the news, improvise and compose pieces with images both of a pristine forest and also images of floods and fires and different kinds of things like that. So I think I have to wrap this up, but I believe that artists have such potential to communicate and inspire and inform and confront. But if we don't let them know how much power they have as artists, how much power music really has, they will think they have to go into environmental science. They're not going to do that. And so my whole theory is based on empowering them through the art that they're already making to find their way into something that can be very frightening or something that can be very confusing. Thank you. And are there any questions?